Greetings, everyone. Well, as you know, one of the big celebrations this year that I've certainly been enjoying, and many of you have been enjoying, is the Transformers, which of course is 30 years old this year. Almost to the day, actually. I guess it was 30 years ago this month, possibly right now, that it originally premiered. I guess back in September of 1984. And would have been, I guess, on the weekend. It originally debuted as a weekly show. I remember watching it. I believe it was on Saturday mornings, if I'm not mistaken. It may have been a Sunday show in my area. I honestly don't remember. Funny enough, I've been going through a lot of my old VHS tapes recently. That's one of the projects I've been doing sort of during my downtime from YouTube. And massive undertaking. You can see there's still tons to go through. There, that's only a small sampling. I've managed to clear off at least one shelf's worth. Well, technically about 3 shelves worth, but you know, double rows and all that jazz. But one of the things I discovered, I knew it was there. I just, captured it as just a part of personal history and nostalgia. Was my original tape, like VHS tape from 1984, where I actually recorded the original airings of Season 1 back in the day. Yeah, pretty cool. Cleaned them up as best as I could, but honestly they're in pretty rough shape. They were lo-fi EP tapes, so what can you do? Made them look as good as I could. I mainly just wanted them, archived and preserved for the sake of having the original, my own personal recordings of the original airings. I didn't get all the episodes. I got like 11 of the 16 episodes. So not bad for, a 12-year-old. And they were all on one tape, so yeah, so pretty cool to see those again. And then I stopped recording for a couple of years, and I think it was 1987, 88 when I started recording it regularly again when it was a daily show in the repeats. And I got about another 30 some odd episodes from that, so I found all those old tapes as well. And again, cool to see them in their original airings. Just great stuff. Gotta love G1. Speaking of which, yeah, got a huge Transformers update for you today. Got some DVDs and some other stuff. So let's get on to it today on the Multimedia Chronicles. Welcome back. Okay, well, first up, but most certainly not least, picked up the epic conclusion of the Unicron trilogy, Transformers Cybertron, the complete series from Shout Factory. Yes, so the Unicron trilogy is now complete. You can probably see the other 2 installments here. We got Armada and Energon. Wrap it all up with Cybertron. Nearly 150 episodes of Transformers action there, which I'd never seen. I've started watching Armada. I'm only like 4 episodes in, so I've got a long way to go. I kind of wanted to hold off until I had all 3 sets, so now I can just marathon the crap out of it and watch the whole thing. So this is a 7-disc set, quite nice. Again, Shout Factory does quality work, so this is, all the discs are on their own tray, individual, not touching each other at all. And we got the episode listings along the bottom there, so you can actually read them even with all the discs in there. So that's actually quite a nice consideration doing them like that. No extras. All these sets are bare bones, but it's just nice to have the episodes in glorious, beautiful quality. I'm going to need all of this, so I'm going to put this on the shelf with the other 2, and we'll have the whole set together. There we go. Yeah, let's try not to destroy it. I should mention, actually, when I was watching Armada, I foolishly kept taking the case in and out of the slipcover and kind of trashed my slipcover Yeah, it slipped out of my hands, and the case crunched into it, and it hit the floor, and an avalanche of boulders landed on it, and, well, yeah. When you look at it just on the shelf, it doesn't look so bad, but, you know, I know that that's there. This is actually just completely ripped right through, but, yeah, it's kind of just holding together. One of my viewers said he was going to send me a replacement slipcover, and for that I will be very, very grateful. Let's just balance these carefully, shall we? Still not thrilled with the Energon cover. The Cybertron cover is much better, I think. Definitely an improvement. But whatever. It's about the shows, right? It's about the shows. Alright, there we go. I think we're good. Excellent. Okay, so now the really big update. This is the big one. This is the granddaddy of them all. As you know... God, these are heavy. Okay. As you know, a while back, I picked up volumes 1 and 2 of Transformers Classics, which feature beautiful, recolored reprints of the original 80s Transformers comics. This is G1, where it all began. This was my introduction to the Transformers, actually, was the comic books, and also my introduction to comic book collecting, as I've mentioned before. So it's really cool to have these beautiful, big, thick, fucking remainder mark. That was not in the description, by the way. They advertised it as new. I was very cross about that. But anyway, still in pretty nice condition. So as you can see, bright, beautiful color. Really nice. Basically, for the most part, it's the same color that was in the original comics, but what they've done is they've recolored it with today's printing techniques to make the colors more solid, so that you don't have that sort of dot matrixiness of the old printing style. So it makes it a lot nicer by today's standard. Well, these are not going to fit at all. But anyway, so wanted to carry on with the set, because this is a big part of the my personal celebration of Transformers. Of course, there was to get all the remaining DVD sets and all the shows that I don't have, so it's great to have those all up to date. But then we also have the comics, so I did pick up Volume 3. I should tell you what's in all of these, actually. So Volume 1 contains issues 1 through 13. Volume 2 contains issues 14 through 25. And then Volume 3 contains issues 26 through 38. And that's all we have room for. Awesome. Then I also picked up Volume 4, which contains issues 39 through 50. And I mentioned this before, I'll mention it again. These editions, unlike the previously released classic Transformers editions, do not omit any issues. This is fully intact. It has every single issue, complete, uncut, and beautiful. And then, of course, I also picked up Volume 5, which contains issues 51 through 64. And I think we're out of room. And then I picked up, just recently actually, Volume 6, which contains issues 65 through 76. Well, that works. I just don't have any room for this one. And then finally Volume 7, which actually wraps up the original Generation 1 comics run. You've got issues 77 through 80, and then you also have the 4-issue Headmasters miniseries, which I only read half of, actually, when it originally came out. I've only got the first 2 issues, so that'll be new to me. And then you've got the original 3-issue Transformers the movie adaptation, which I also have somewhere. But, yeah, that's not going to stay. Alright, so anyway, let's move these a little bit. And like that. Kind of. There we go. So there is all 7 volumes of Transformers Classics. So it's all 80 issues. One thing I thought was kind of amusing, if we go back to issue number 1 here, you can see that it was originally a 4-issue limited series. You can see at the top of the cover there, 4-issue limited series. Yeah, so pretty cool. And then it did really, really well, just blew sales numbers off the charts. So of course it became a regular series from issue 5 onward. So it's always amused me that the final issue, where is it? Here. says number 80 in a 4-issue limited series. That's so cute. Now, I'm actually really stoked to dive into these. I wanted to wait until I had the whole set so I could just, you know, power read through them. Because I haven't read a lot of them. I actually only collected up to issue number 35. So there's 45 issues that I've never read, plus the latter half of the last 2 parts of the Headmasters series and stuff like that. So there's still a little bit more. If you want to truly have the complete G1 collection, like the American G1 Comics collection, you also need this, G.I. Joe and the Transformers Volume 1, because it contains reprints of this, G.I. Joe and the Transformers. Yes, I actually have the original issues. They're all stuffed into one comic bag. But, yeah, one thing I noticed kind of interesting is this one uses more glossy paper, which looks gorgeous. Whereas the Transformers Classics books are more of a matte style, but still very, very high quality. I mean, very heavy stock paper. So this includes all 4 issues of the original G.I. Joe and the Transformers miniseries from the 80s, which interestingly enough had serious ramifications for the Transformers comics, but was barely even acknowledged in the G.I. Joe comics at the time. G.I. Joe, like the actual G.I. Joe continuity at the time, just kind of ignored it. Then, following that, we have issues 138 through 139 through 142 of G.I. Joe, which, hold on a second here. But did they not have the cover? Seriously? Oh no, they showing just the tail end of issue 138, which is kind of a cliffhanger leading into it. So we got issues 139 through 142 of G.I. Joe, which actually led into Transformers Generation 2. And I believe Transformers Generation 2 was reprinted as part of the original classic Transformers editions. It only lasted 12 issues, so I mean they could totally do it as just a single volume. I haven't heard any word if it's going to be reprinted again as part of the Transformers Classics collection, or if it's just going to be a standalone volume. I don't know. I would assume they're going to reprint it again, just for the completists like me. Yeah, so pretty cool. So basically, this will give you all the G.I. Joe stuff from the original Transformers era, Generation 1 and 2, and then we're just waiting on basically one more volume here to give us the complete Generation 2 series. So I have no... Yeah, that's not going to work. Anyway, you know it's there. So that's quite a stack of Transformers comics. If we actually stack them here, just because stacking is fun. Hold on a second. And these are great, sturdy. You can see they're kind of embossed on the cover too, sort of bumpy. Just basically it's not like 3D bumpy. It's just kind of they raised the outline of the characters there. So we got all this. Sorry, itchy nose. And that. Oh, holy Moses. Ah, there we go. There's the complete set right there. So you can actually get these. These go for about 25, 30 bucks in stores. I got most of these for between 16 and 20 on Amazon. So definitely a deal there. And there are, I believe, 2 more volumes of G.I. Joe and the Transformers, because IDW has done some G.I. Joe Transformers crossovers as well. But I believe this volume is all you need if all you want is the old Marvel stuff. So that was very, very nice of them to do that. So the Transformers comic collecting, however, is not finished. Far from it. That takes care of a good chunk of the originals. Now, next on my checklist would be Transformers UK Classics, which is 5 volumes of the UK exclusive stories from Transformers Weekly over across the pond. Interesting to note about those. For a while there, they basically would take the UK, because in the UK, Transformers was published weekly rather than monthly. So for the most part, they did reprints of the American comics and then would split them up over a couple of issues because they were shorter comics. So they would split them up into like 2, 10, or 11-page episodes, and then that would be that. But it got to a point where they ended up being ahead of the American comics, so they had to find something to put in the comics to fill the gap between the American reprint issues. So they started doing original stories. Originally, they were just kind of standalone things. It didn't really fit into the continuity. Eventually, they did fit into the continuity, but then the continuities started to clash. So I think for the last run, there was, the last batch of them, they just kind of did their own thing and just said, yeah, never mind, we're not going to bother trying to fit it into the American continuity. We're just doing our own thing. But, yeah, so I've always been really curious about that because I do have a few random issues of Transformers Weekly that I picked up at a comic shop a while back. And I noticed that about them. I was like, oh, this is like new stories and stuff. There was one, I think it was a reprint of, partial reprint of issue 23 of the original American Transformers. And then the other 2 issues were original stories. And I was really curious about that, about these original stories. So some of them have been reprinted here a while back. There was the, was it Titan Books, I think it was, did a series of Transformers reprints. They did the whole Generation 1 and Generation 2. And they did a bunch of the UK ones as well, but not all of them. So now the current editions that IDW is putting out, Transformers UK Classics, there's 5 volumes currently. Been a long time coming between volumes 4 and 5, apparently, like a 9-month gap almost. So I don't know what the future holds for those. They haven't reprinted all of them. They still got a fair chunk to go. But they've got up to, they did like 300, originally there was like 330-something, 332, I think, issues of Transformers Weekly. And they've reprinted up to like issue 170 or something like that. But I mean, obviously it's not going to be every single issue because they're not going to do reprints of reprints. They're just going to they're just reprinting the stories that were exclusive to the UK comics. So that's the big one that's next on the list. I'm really eager to dive into those. And then, of course, there's the 4-volume Regeneration 1, which came out recently, which was basically, Simon Furman, the original author of the latter third or thereabouts of the original G1 Transformers comics, also writer of a lot of the original UK comics. That's kind of where he started on Transformers. So they brought Simon Furman back to write an additional 20 issues, so issues 81 through 100, continuing the story from the end of the old Generation 1 Transformers. How frickin' cool is that? So it basically makes it an even 100 issues. So they did 20 issues of that, basically taking it off in other directions, and so he could complete a lot of the stories that he wanted to tell back in the day, but just wasn't able to because the series was canceled. So basically 9 more books to pick up. So 5 volumes of Transformers UK and 4 volumes of Regeneration 1 to complete that run. And then I will basically have the complete 80s Transformers story in all its iterations. So definitely looking forward to that. And then next up, after that, I'm probably just going to go for the big hardcover editions of the IDW collection because it's the easiest way to get them. There's 8 volumes, hardcover volumes, about $30 a piece, of the IDW collection that basically reprints all the IDW Transformers stories in chronological order, so like actual optimal story order. And they did 8 volumes of that, and they just did volume 1 of Phase 2, which is like the next wave of stories. So lots of Transformers to go. I'm probably not going to get them all by the end of the year, but my main goal for the 30th anniversary year at least is to get all of the 80s stuff and all of the related stuff. There's also a really cool art book coming out that has, like, it's a 30th anniversary celebration of all the package art from the early days of G1, so definitely want to pick that up because there's some awesome artwork on the packaging. Alrighty, folks, that is it from me to you for now. So tons and tons and tons of Transformers. I'll just throw a couple of these up here. There we go. So the Transformers G1 collection is more or less complete. At least I got the main core series. So I've got all of that and ready to rock. So I'm going to be reading the shit out of those in the very, very near future. I'm in the middle of reading some other stuff right now, and then this is next on the list. Really stoked actually to read the stuff that I've never read before. As I say, I only collected up to issue 35, So issues 36 through 80 will be all new to me, and I'm really excited about that, because apparently that's the period that really, you know, dug into Transformers lore and gave us a lot of the lore that that still exists in some form today, and has become kind of the canonical history of the Transformers, or at least the history that a lot of subsequent versions have drawn upon. So I'm really really eager to check that out. Alrighty, that is it from me to you for now. So until next time, thanks for watching, and sayonara.